Normally the time has popped up by now. There we go. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the zoo. The minions with me this evening are Functional
Yo,
and Adam.
Hello.
How are both of you doing this evening?
live and kicking.
And if I'm late, Cannibal, it's only late due to the fucking delay because I clicked that while it was still in the 30s. But then it has this delay before it actually starts the counter. How about you?
Yeah, I don't know. You seem to have a weird delay with StreamYards. It's StreamYards alone that, like, I mean, when we're communicating, there's no lag time or anything. Yeah, but to answer your question, I'm alive. I'm kicking. I started the journey to quit smoking, and I needed to have medical intervention on that behalf. I'll leave it at that, because my usage of tobacco is getting pretty severe, and when you're basically chain smoking for 6 hours a day, it's sure you need an abrupt halt because that's just not sustainable, and it's not good.
Yeah, that's a bit extreme.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm going through those kind of motions, but I've got like the medication to help, and I built my vaporizer, so I have a cessation tool. Yeah, I mean, I'll make it. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. And how about you, Adam?
Well, hey, props to Doc for
Thanks, man.
going on that journey, man. And I hope it goes well for you.
To get your lungs no longer smoke filled.
Yeah,
Thanks.
especially
I've done it twice before in my life for about 9 months and 12 months, respectively. So, I've done it. The trick is to not quitting.
Yep.
As any, many ex-smokers in my family, they'll all tell you the same thing. Never quit quitting. It's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, sorry, I don't want to encroach on Adam's time. How are you, Adam?
Well, I was just actually just opening up the show here on but yeah, no, it's well, it's Friday, and
Glorious Friday.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I've been finding every excuse not to start playing Tears of the Kingdom.
Is that
It's
the
it's
new Zelda?
yeah, it's like
Oh.
I got this beautiful woman's phone number. She's like, call me, and I'm just sitting there staring at it, and I'm like, yeah, I know I'm gonna fuck this up. It's like maybe I shouldn't. um, but yeah, no, yeah. So far, so good. I've been doing all right.
Copy that.
How are you?
I'm doing grand, and I just realized I forgot one all-important part of my normal opener. Of course, it's Friday, so I'm the keeper this evening, Sanguine. So now that I've actually told you who the fuck I am,
Who are you?
I'm doing rather grand. I had an amazing dinner that we were talking about right before stream, where it was some steak that I sous vide up and then torched just to get that final char, shrimp that I tossed in a bit of spice, a little bit of oil, then tossed into a screaming hot skillet, gave it some nice char, finished it up with just a light sprinkling of sesame seeds and some zucchini that I did the rangiri cut on, which is the rotating cut in Japanese cookery, where you cut it like a 45-degree angle, you rotate the thing 90 degrees, you cut it the 45, you rotate 90, you cut it the 45, so that you get these regularly irregular slices, which are absolutely fantastic, which I finished up with just a splash of some smoked shoyu on them, and again a sprinkling of sesame seed, all served on a garlic infused rice bowl with a quick dipping sauce of some ketchup, a little bit of mayo, sriracha, and then some spices. Really fucking good. I had a Junmai Daiginjo sake with it, as well as an Asahi and a Sadashi whiskey.
Ooh.
So, very, very happy with my dinner.
It sounds very delicious.
It absolutely was. So that was, like I said, very just good. Goddamn, that was good.
I'm jealous. I fucking had Taco Bell.
Well, tomorrow I'll have an even more ridiculous dinner, at least with the cut of meat. Today I just did a bevet steak, or sometimes called a ranch steak, for my dinner. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing some Terrace Major, which I've dry aged 2 days. And then I'm going to be sous videing that, searing it off with the torch again, slicing it up nice and thin, and then serving that up. I haven't quite decided what side I'm going to be doing. I know I'm going to be doing a saute of mushroom of some sort, but I haven't decided whether I'm going to do mushrooms, or sorry, whether I'm going to do potatoes, like a mashed potato. I think I'm probably going to do a Lazy Man's fondant, but I might do rice with it, depending on how I feel.
Jeez.
And the Lazy Man's fondant potatoes is, rather than going through all the work to do the barreling or cylindering of the potatoes, I'll just cut them up, leave the skin on, sear them off on all sides, splash in some stock, and then roast them the rest of the way until they're absolutely delicious.
Yeah, I was out and like I haven't had Taco Bell in a while, and it was there. And it's kind of like a guilty little pleasure of mine. You know, everybody's got like their fast food guilty pleasure. Don't eat it very often, but you know, when you see it, you're just kind of like, yeah, why not?
What'd you get from Taco Bell?
I had just some chicken tacos.
Oh.
Just because, like I said, I haven't had it in a while, so I was like, I wonder how bad this could be. It wasn't bad. I mean, our admittedly, our food regulations are a lot more stringent up here. That's why our food's so much more expensive, at least prepared food. Or classically, that's why that's the way it is. But I think tomorrow...
The ranchero chicken tacos aren't that bad at any point.
I was gonna say,
I mean,
you dodged a bullet because it's usually the beef that's bad there.
And it's normally the minced beef is the Z grade.
Yeah. You don't. I know. Never that. I mean, unless I'm getting one of those like 20 taco combos, then I'll get the ground beef. But you know, normally just get chicken. Or hell, I make better at home. So if I was at home, I would have made fucking 12-inch fucking burritos with, you know, proper ingredients, not this fake this what do you call it? Fake-sican?
I don't know. Didn't it
whatever Taco
like
Bell is? It's not actual
Mexican.
Mexican food. Like I make actual Mexican tacos at home. Or well,
Yep.
sorry, I should say I use Mexican ingredients, but I give it my own white boy flair because, you know, if I don't like something, I'm not going to put it in just for the sake of putting it in.
Tex-Mex.
You know, I like it, when I make tacos, I prefer cucumber to lettuce. So I do cucumber and tomato make it in like what we call an Israeli salad. So it's like a little bit of oil, a little bit of seasoning, and it's basically just diced cucumber and tomato. And I put that over like the spicy Mexican beef, and it's just like, oh man, marrying these flavors. Why didn't I think about this sooner? Get the nice acidity, the vinegary of the salad, and the
doesn't sound too bad.
Penetrating heat of the beef. What?
Oh yeah, and one of the things that I recommend people when they're trying to learn how to cook, develop very quickly, is your quick chicken marinade. Because you can make an absolutely amazing meal with just chicken thighs in 30 minutes to marinate. So one of the marinades that I do is some smoked paprika, cayenne, ancho, just a hot Mexican chili blend.
Yeah.
Bit of cilantro, lime juice, and olive oil. You mix those together. Oh, also garlic. Lots of garlic, because you can never go wrong with more garlic. So mix all of those together into a kind of thick paste.
I'm sorry, cannibal.
over your chicken thighs, let
Mm.
those sit for 30 minutes, and then sear those off in a hot pan, you have an amazing, flavorful chicken thigh that can be whipped up, like I said, very quickly. All you do is you throw it together, you marinate for 30 minutes, you sear it off. Toss that in
Amify,
a
man.
wrap with some onions, mushrooms, and peppers, and then a sprinkle of cheese. Ooh, like a pig in shit.
I don't know if that's a apt correlation. I mean, you described something very delicious sounding, and then pig and shit. I don't think they.
Pigs and shit fucking love it.
Well, they love a lot of things.
Yeah,
They are.
that's
pigs
why
and
you're
shit.
like a pig in shit. Because you are just as happy as can be.
No, I guess that's a a way to describe it. But that did sound pretty good.
Oh yeah, it's delicious and it's nice and simple. Like I said, it's something I recommend to everyone when they're first learning how to cook. Come up with their quick, this is what I'm just whipping up for a dinner because, oh shit, I forgot to think through what I was making tonight.
Mm.
Just always having one of those quick and dirty marinades. And there's a bunch of them that I have, so that was my more Hispanic / Tex-Mex one.
Yeah, you mentioned two of my favorite spices, which is the smoked paprika and the
Yep.
Did you say cayenne?
Yep.
Yeah. I can never have enough smoked paprika. That stuff is just gold. It's gold,
yeah.
Jerry. It's gold.
And the thing is that a surprising number of people don't know what paprika is. Do you know what paprika is?
Cilantro?
No. Paprika
Oh, wait, that's cumin.
No, you're thinking coriander.
Coriander, right. My brain
But
is...
a lot of people don't know what paprika is.
Paprika.
And it is one of the most insanely simple things.
Mustard?
Nope.
I don't remember. No, of course not. Mustard.
It's roasted and then dried red peppers.
Huh. I thought there was more to it than that.
When you get the spicy ones, those will have a bit more than just a red bell pepper. Because normally they'll go for red bell pepper and then a spicier red pepper as well.
Hmm.
But when you're talking sweet paprika, that is roasted, sometimes smoked, dried, and then powdered bell pepper.
Right.
But it has such an intense taste that most people don't recognize it as bell pepper. But technically, yep, it's just bell pepper. Oh yeah, pickled peppers are delicious. Pickled asparagus is amazing. Pickled okra, good fucking god. I will murder a man for good pickled okra.
I don't want a pickle. I'm going to go get a pickle.
Oh yeah, pickled things are delicious. And it's something that's very easy to do. Really amps up the flavor of something. Like, I think it was last week or the week before. I had 2 meals that I finished off with. I think it was the week before last week, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe 2 weeks ago. But I had 2 meals where I did fried okra, which was just some really good pickled okra, patted them dry, tossed them into a bit of starch or flour, depending on the day, with some seasoning. Let it adhere to the outside of the okra, toss those into a nice pot of hot oil, fried them up nice and crisp, serve with a little bit of a dipping sauce. Ooh, good fucking god, yes.
So it was the last pickle. And I'm going to use the brine for chicken tomorrow.
There you go.
Nice.
Either of you ever get one of those pickles from like that are in a bag?
Oh, the solo serve pickles?
Yeah,
No.
I'm always worried about those.
Why?
Like sometimes I'm like, I want one because, yeah, you guys are right. Pickles are good,
Yeah,
but
pickles are delicious.
I don't know about those.
The solo serves are good. They're just pickles that were then individually packaged so that you can
Oh,
just snack on a pickle.
should I just make my own?
Oh yeah, that's another good way. Like I make koji pickles fairly often,
Hmm.
which is a Japanese style of pickle. It uses fermented rice paste and koji pickles with alcohol. Oh, good fucking god! It's a match made in heaven. But I'm going to have to turn over to you guys for a moment because I have to piss like a racehorse out of nowhere. So
Already.
you guys keep chatting. I'll be back in a moment.
So did you get the new Zelda game, or were you just thinking of getting it?
No, I had it on pre-order.
Oh, okay. So it's just a matter of.
Well, yeah, it was. Um, it's kind of a mixture of both. I haven't beaten the Breath of the Wild, so I kind of want to beat that first. But at the same end, it's
Right.
like I know what happens. It's not like it's gonna be like, oh, and I really want to learn what happens. But like I said, it's like it's one of those things where she wants me to talk to her, but I'm shitting my pants, and so I'm sitting there like, yeah, all right, But you gotta still be cool about it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I'm cool. Yeah.
I haven't played one since the N64 version. Well, no, I shouldn't say I haven't played one. I haven't enjoyed one since the N64 version. But or sorry, Super Nintendo version, I should say. The N64, I mean, it was like cool and all. I was like, but this is a different game. I wanted
Yeah.
Link to
I,
the Past or something, you know.
I'm kind of indifferent with the. I think a lot of people like the 64 one. I'm not. I liked it, but I'm not. I really like the Super Nintendo one.
Mm-hmm.
And
Part of me
the
was really worried that when you said, I enjoyed the N64, but I really enjoyed that you were about to say the CDI.
oh
CDI.
oh yeah, those were
With the CDI?
I think it was the CDI, or was it the
yeah. Oh
Philips
yeah,
CD?
Philips CDI.
Okay, it
Oh,
is
I'm
Philips
just
CD.
not familiar with them, so.
So it's a old game system that
Oh.
it had what, two versions of it before it just fucking died, Adam? Is that right?
Mhm.
Uh,
It was
or did it
after
die
the
on the
Super
first
Nintendo.
iteration?
Wait, which one? Wait, what are you? Wait.
Did the Philips CDI die on the second iteration of the Philips CDI, or did it die on the first iteration of the Philips CDI?
As far as I know, it did go through like a different redesign,
Okay.
midway through, but it tried to go through its own, uh, pretty much independent pathway. It didn't want to do video games so much as interactive media.
Yep.
So that's why it was more designed as like uh, encyclopedias and museum tours and um, artsy fartsy stuff, edutainment. Um,
Hey, edutainment is fucking amazing when it's done right.
when it's done right, yeah, no, yeah. Mavis Bacon teaches typing is a cornerstone in that aspect.
Yep.
But
Typing of the dead.
type. Oh, well, there you go. See, that's what spawned from it. Typing of the dead, and Mario
Yep.
teaches typing.
Yep.
I used to go to the library and play that a lot. But no, CDI. It did that, and because Nintendo let them uh
License the
license a
works.
few games, yeah, they did Mario and Zelda. And
Yeah,
the Zelda games are horrible.
so what the Philips CDI was it was the first. Was it the first or was it the second? I want to say it was the first CD game system.
There was a few before it.
There were? Okay.
Yeah, this one
I
was just
remembered that
a
it was a
lot.
very early adopter or it was the first, and I couldn't remember which one.
It was compared to what was out there at the time, it was a bit stronger. But like I said, since Philip was more focused on trying to not get into the game competitive bit,
Yep.
they focused
Yeah,
on
the
elsewhere.
the
It was
first
more
CD
than
console
capable.
was launched by Philips in 1991. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So it was an old school CD based console that its controller just looked like a remote. Its main controller just looked like a remote. You could buy an additional controller, which was a bit more ergonomic, shall we say. But the controller that came with it looked like a television remote. And playing games on it was an absolute cunt and a half, as one could imagine. They had a series of games. The most infamous are the Zelda CDI games, which had very strange mechanics as well as some of the worst cutscenes known to man, and made you hate most of the Zelda characters. It was where Link went from this silent protagonist that everyone could kind of imagine what they would be saying in response to it to, well, excuse me, princess.
I remember that TV show.
And that was the entirety of it. Everything was done over the top for all of the cutscene audios. It had ridiculous, unskippable cutscene audios that would happen every time that you walked into an area. It would just start the audio.
Excuse me, princess.
Fucking exactly.
I had that on my soundboard.
It would be those sorts of voiceovers for the
Yeah.
game. The
That's
controls were jank as shit because, again, the controller looked like a TV remote. Imagine trying to play a platformer on your smart TV remote.
Yeah.
It's not exactly optimally designed, shall we say. Which led to the game being difficult to control with the base controller. The audios were terrible. The stories of the games were, would you say, uninspired at the very least, Adam?
I mean, for as much story as it had, I guess. Yeah.
It was just everything about it was almost designed to be as unappealing of a user experience as one could imagine.
No, Rotten Corpse. The old NES controller used to dig into my fucking hands. The corner, as you're holding it, digs like right into where your thumb meets the rest of your hand. Oh my god, that fucking
if
killed.
you do a really close grip, abso-fucking-lutely. If you have kind of big hands, so it's sitting like halfway on your fingers, it doesn't dig at all. But if you're pressed up right against the edge, yeah, that is painful. Then
Wait,
again,
you guys don't do the two-finger method?
see, the thing is,
No,
I
I'm
have
not
big
Asian.
hands, so if I'm holding, you guys know the standard PS controller, right? With the dual stick, so PlayStation
Yeah.
2 through like, what is it, 5 now, has roughly the same controller setup.
Yeah.
So if you put your fingers or put your thumbs on the thumbsticks, how they naturally sit, and you push both thumbsticks in, how far can you go before your thumbs hit each other?
Push them both the way in.
Huh?
Now?
Yeah, so
Uh,
grab a PS controller, PS2 onward
let me see.
controller
My
with the dual
Xbox controller,
thumbsticks.
my thumbs overlap.
Oh, with the Xbox, normally they're offset joysticks so that they don't bump into each other. The
But
PlayStation
that's
has
about
them
the
parallel.
but yeah, but it's about the same distance. Like if I'm putting my thumbs
True.
over them, the tips of my probably about an inch of my thumb overlaps.
So, Adam, if you do that, grab a PS controller if you have one, and put your thumbs on the joysticks how you normally would when playing, and then push the joysticks together. Do your fingers hit each other at any point?
Nope.
Yeah, but I've
Okay.
got stupid spider fingers.
Adam's seen my hands in real life.
Yeah.
If I put my thumbs kind of where you normally would, with the meat of your thumb resting on the joystick so that you have the...
One thumb, the entire controller disappears. Yeah.
Yeah. My thumbnails and the tips of my thumbs are touching when I haven't moved the sticks together.
See,
Yeah.
That happens for me if if I put like at the center of the joysticks.
Yep.
If I put like the as close to the to the joint as possible. If I were to put that
Just how you...
at the center, then yeah, I'd be bumping my thumbs. But I usually just like the
Oh,
tips
you do
of
the
my
tips
thumb.
of the thumb?
Yeah, I don't really.
See,
Yeah, I can't do that.
I do kind of
If
the
my
meat
hands are
of the thumb.
resting comfortably on the controller, I'm playing with my first knuckle.
See,
First
I'm
knuckle. Oh, okay. See, it's either the tip or like the little. I guess-
I've got stupid spider fingers. Like, I mean, what am I supposed to do? Like, I can't arching them back so that the tips of my thumbs are on the. No, that's not going to work. That would.
yeah, that feels weird to me. The way
Hey,
that I
Mr.
play
Fantastic thumbs, you know.
is when I rest my thumbs on the controllers, it's naturally just that meaty part of the thumb, not right at the first knuckle, but
Yeah, in between.
front of the first knuckle and the tip. So you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The thickest part of the thumb, that's what hits the controller. And when I do that, the tips of my thumbs are already touching. Without slotting my fingers in. So when I have to angle both of the control sticks in, I have to withdraw my thumbs to the far ends of the thumbsticks and then push with the very tip of my thumb towards each other, and then that's how I handle that. But there's a lot of ways that controllers can be better. I prefer the Xbox controllers just because they have the offset joystick.
Yeah, and so you're not constantly bumping.
Yeah, because when one's up higher and one's lower, you have a lot more space before you end up hitting yourself.
The Switch Pro controllers like that.
Yep.
Because that's why I was when you were talking about it, I was like, wait, really? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I don't really play PlayStation that much. I play it with a few friends, but don't play it as much nowadays.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, the Switch controllers like the Xbox, and then I play with an arcade stick, so I don't have that problem either way. So arcade stick for life, or arcade stick master race, bam.
Yeah.
Switch Pro, or
I'm
even
playing
if you
fighting
just
games.
have the little controller port for the two controls of the Switch. That one, just because the two halves of the Switch controller also have that offset, already has that set up where if you slot it into that little carrier that it comes with.
Yeah, but
you
the
don't bump your fingers.
Joy-Cons are not. Joy-Cons are not comfortable to play for
Oh,
a
yeah.
long period of time. Like they are. Yeah, I'd recommend getting a Pro controller. It doesn't have to be the official one, but something that is not the Joy-Cons.
And like I said, there's the little, at least my Switch that I got for Christmas came with this little skeleton controller that it is tiny. So if you have enormous hands like I do, because when I'm holding this thing, my knuckles in back of it are damn near touching. But that's just because I have hands like a 4-pound ham. I just have huge fucking hands. So, and again, Adam has seen my hands and has shaken my hands. I think Skep was the one who said shaking my hands was a weird experience because they're hands, but they're so big that you don't shake them like a normal hand. You just gotta grab on however you can, and that's what you're shaking.
Yeah, they're like paws.
Yeah, because
Mitts.
I think it was Johnny was saying that his ring fingers are 11s in rings. My pinkies are 11s. 3 of my fingers are 16s, which is the largest ring size that you can custom order most of the time. US 16s, not EU or Japanese, because Japanese are like 30-somethings. And EU, they're like 26s or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But 3 of my fingers, not counting my thumbs, are 16s. The other 3 of my fingers, not counting my thumbs or pinkies, are 13s, which are custom orders as well. So I have enormous fingers. And yeah, instructions in clear, holding dumbbells instead is a valid summation. Like another thing that is somewhat awkward is the doorknobs for my apartment complex, I can fit 2 fingers on. And they're just standard doorknobs, I think. I don't think they're particularly small. But again, I have enormous hands, so it's an issue. But the little controller skeleton that the Joy-Cons come with, or that the Switch comes with, even that allows you to have the offset controller, because the Joy-Cons themselves have the offset controller, which is really fucking nice. Makes it so that your hands fit nicer.
I think Microsoft still has their Elite gamepad controller.
Mhm.
I think so you can customize it even more.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's always the best way to go, is to get a good way to control it for any hand that you have. But I also get PlayStation's view of having a standard set of control that.
Oh yeah, it's nice and simple. It makes it so that you can pick up the controller every generation and you can play with it without having to go, okay, let me get used to this controller layout. Because it's the same controller. It's just slightly different angles on this or that. But otherwise, everything's set up the same.
You know where everything is. It's like a keyboard, you know?
Exactly. And speaking of modular and customizable design, I need to find a new mouse that has that. I have the old school Razer Rubberos, which is a fantastic old school mouse. Apparently, Razer stopped making them because reasons. But it's amazing because it allows you to control the length of the mouse. It allows you to control the size of the fins on the side, the pinky rest and the thumb rest fins. And just everything can be retooled on this fucking thing, so it's a pain in the ass trying to find a new one.
Yeah.
I don't know why people stopped making fully customizable mice. Because my hand is very different than each of your guys' hands, so it makes sense having a mouse that you can change the size of on the fly.
You're a mutant, so
It's not my fault I'm a giant dwarf.
I know. I used to use the was it the Logitech G, I want to say 700 series mice, because they were large. They were really good gaming mice. Had the unpluggable USB on the front, so it could be wired when it needs to charge, or if you just didn't care. Great wireless sensitivity and everything. But they stopped making it, and now I have to use mice that my fingers like just dangle off the edge, and it's just like, I fucking hate my life. Why did you stop making a mouse for the large gentleman?
Yeah. And like I said, the best mouse, in my opinion, is one that is very easy to customize, because the mouse that I have, like I said, it's, you just use a little screwdriver and you can set the length of your mouse.
Yeah.
You can set the weight of your mouse. You can change fucking everything on this goddamn thing. And the really nice thing is the little screwdriver is actually built into the mouse. So you didn't need to get your own little screwdriver. You just needed to, when you needed to swap out your mouse or change something on it, you would pop out the little screwdriver that's part of the mouse, and boom, done, dusted, no fucking problem.
Yeah.
Was the change noticeable though? I mean, in terms of like the weight, or even, you know, like the sensitivity of it. Like, I mean, I get the you know, when the range of the mouse settings, but the weight thing kind of gets me, or the different types of button pressings.
Oh yeah, you can actually get the weight set up fairly high on the mice, or you can strip out the weights and make it really low. The controls on the length of the mice was fantastic. It had about 3/4 of an inch that you could maybe a little bit more than 3/4 of an inch, actually, now that I'm looking at it, that you could swap between. So if you had a very short palm, you would choke in the butt of the mouse all the way so that it would feel comfortable in your hand. If you had a very long palm, then you would stretch it out all the way and it would feel extremely comfortable. You could control the height of the palm rest for the mouse. You had a bunch of different side options, so you could decide, did you want big pinky rests and thumb rests because you had a large, wide hand, or did you want thin pinky rests and thumb rest, or did you not want a pinky rest or thumb rest? All those options came with the mouse. It has a very easily usable DPI switch on it, which allows you to customize, I think it's like 5 different profiles on the mouse.
Yep.
Or you can switch between, it's something like 3 or so presets. Everything on this fucker was easily customizable, which made it fantastic. And it was a massive difference between the different setups. So, if you liked the claw hand position for your mouse, you could shrink up the butt of the mouse and then make it a really high butt, which made it so that your hand would immediately fall into the claw.
I do like a high butt.
Man, who doesn't like a high butt? Uh
Sorry about that. If you like the handshake, then you could
oh.
narrow down the height of the palm rest with just a dial in back that gave you really fine control, so that your hand was kind of more in that handshake position for the mouse.
Mm-hmm.
It was very nice, easily modified. Like I said, they included the little screwdriver as part of the mouse so that you could pop it in, pop it out when you needed.
Sure, yeah.
So what's your opinion on trackballs?
Fuck them.
Just like that, huh?
I have no need of them. Fuck them. If that's your shit, good on you, I guess.
I don't know. I would like to see somebody. I'm pretty sure there's a YouTube video out there of somebody doing this, but I like to see somebody play like a high intensity first person shooter game with a trackball
Mm-hmm.
or real time
I've seen
strategy.
it.
Good God, their thumb is probably like fucking monkey thumb.
Yeah, I mean, he was good at it, but like I don't know, I still mouse and keyboard.
Yeah. But
At least with a good gaming keyboard. Obviously, people use gaming mice, but not a lot of people use gaming keyboards. But with a good one, they're very intuitive on the position of everything. I miss my G900.
like I said, I miss really modular mice because they just make sense. Not everyone's hand is the same size. Make it so that your mouse can be transitioned between the different fucking sizes.
Oh, you want a tranny mouse?
Yes, I want a mouse that I can adapt as I so choose. So, not so much a tranny mouse as a tranny child mouse, because
Whoa, whoa,
that's
whoa,
when
whoa,
you
whoa.
can really influence how they end up developing.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that's a very weird segue, but it fucking works. Did you guys hear about all of the Newsom trying to go after DeSantis shit that's been happening recently?
No.
So Newsom has been going after DeSantis for a good while now, and he's just been amping it up. He had an interview with Jen Psaki, which was effectively Psaki trying to fillet him live on air without anyone noticing. She
Right.
didn't quite succeed in that respect because she was treating him as if he was a governor of a highly successful state who should be taken seriously in any stretch of the imagination rather than being Gavin Newsom. But he was talking about how, well, there's a whole bunch of different things going wrong in Florida and Texas and a bunch of these other states because they're trying to restrict freedom. So his example of restricting freedom were things like, hey, you shouldn't be allowed to indoctrinate children into racial hate narratives,
Mm-hmm.
which he was against because he thinks that not only should you be able to, but they absolutely should be indoctrinated into those racial hate narratives,
Yeah.
which he made clear by his defense of those positions. And there's all kinds of insane shit that you can find. When people say, well, where's the evidence that people are being taught to hate in these schools and in universities? The professors, the teachers, the shit that they say. There's a professor from one of the Florida universities back in 2005 who is on C-SPAN. So he went to speak to the federal government, to the legislature, because that's what C-SPAN is entirely in charge of doing. They air shit that happens on the House floor, on the Senate floor, shit like that, right?
Yeah.
He's actively advocating for genocide.
Yep.
And not like in any obscure, well, we need to figure out a way of dealing with group X or Y or Z. No, he straight up says that to his mind, it is an inevitable conclusion to anyone that studies history and culture that at some point it will become necessary to eradicate white people.
Mm.
And again, that isn't me inflating what was said. That isn't me trying to make it sound as bad as I possibly can. That was him of his own accord saying that, yeah, at some point, it's inevitable. We're going to have to eradicate white people from the earth. That's the only way forward for humanity.
Yeah.
And again, this is being said live on air on C-SPAN back in 2005 from a professor who taught Black studies and the issue, or the, let's see, he was a psychology professor specializing in Black psychology, and there was a very strange bit of wording, and I'm trying to remember the coursework. It was something along the lines of Black liberation in a post-colonial world. Dude was an absolute racial supremacist. He had views that, as much as some people hate this way of doing it, it's something that I think is a legitimate approach to checking to see whether you're saying something really fucked up. Swap Jew in for whatever group you're advocating against, and Aryan for whatever group you're advocating for, and see how fucked up it sounds. If it sounds like something straight out of Mein Kampf, maybe you need to
reevaluate. Yeah.
Or if you're dealing with the sexes, swap in man for woman and woman for man and see if it still sounds as good as it did before. But this is a test that isn't done half as often as it fucking should be. But it's something that the moment that you do start doing it, you start going, holy shit. Because it should trigger something right away when you hear we need to eradicate the white race.
Yeah.
We need to eradicate white people, as this professor said. That should be enough to make you go, wait, what? But at the very least, if you swap that with Jew instead of white, I think everyone suddenly goes, what the fuck?
Wait
Again,
a
except
minute.
for the Black supremacists, because Black supremacists do have a history of advocating for the eradication of Jewish people, which is one of the reasons why crimes against Jewish people in New York, California, various other states skyrocketed. Then there's also the tax that was just proposed, or not really proposed, it's being advocated for by by the two front runners of a particular election for the state legislature. Both of them are for this in some means. One of them, the more extreme one, says that there needs to be a white tax.
Okay.
That it's a
Sounds
tax on white people
reasonable.
that is then spent 100% on minority groups.
How does this
Oakland,
differ from taxes as they are now?
Well, it's more naked.
I know, I'm just...
In practice, yeah, there isn't as much difference, but the stated reason
Yeah.
is a
little
lot
more
more
obfuscated.
naked. It's more obvious when they say, yeah, we need to have a white tax. Any white business owners need to be taxed at a higher rate, and then we need to give a credit to any minority business owners.
Oh, yeah, well, I was thinking, white people are the global minority, and since we're all, one big global happy family, the human race, that means that they're just taxing white people to give money to white people. So.
Yep, that would be one way of looking at it, but yeah, it
I
doesn't
know
seem
that's
to
not the
work
way
out
they're
that
looking
way.
at it.
Yeah,
They're not
and
intelligent
then
enough to understand simple concepts. Like
there's
numbers.
also California is considering increasing its state spending by, I think it was, let me quickly double check the number. I think it was something like $800 billion. Because they were thinking of giving $1.2 million to every black person.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I was thinking about the thing you were just talking about with the business owner. So if a white Mexican immigrates to America and starts a business, do they not get it because they're white? Or do they get it because they're Mexican immigrants?
Well,
Too confusing. Straight to Gulag.
Oh shit! I mean,
I
oh
were
wait, no.
if I were in their
Boże
place,
mój.
I would check any box other than white.
Well, I mean,
Hell, if I weren't so white, I have to worry about goddamn moonburns.
well, I only bring it up because, I mean, like you guys both said, it sounds very retarded. Like it's the legislation sounds pretty much like a 5-year-old's like, you know what? If you're wearing blue, you're not allowed to play with us anymore. How simplistic. But this is the reality we find ourselves in. These are people, and again, it goes right back to what the mantra I've been saying for a bit now. It's either we're dealing with useful idiots, retards out there that are just like regurgitating the bullshit, thinking that they're doing the right thing, or actual malevolent people, people with ill intent that are trying to push this nonsense.
Yeah.
There's no other explanation. I mean, this is
Well, it's a combination of both things.
well. I
You
think
look at your Lances from the Serfs, your
That
what's his name,
fucking
Sam Cedar.
with that was a
But-
Yeah,
shit
but
show.
my point is, you look at those type of people. I think that they truly are too stupid to understand simple concepts, and they're fed. They picked a team, right? They have their team. They are now so ingrained in that team that they can't even conceptualize of ideas outside of the team narratives, no
Yeah.
matter how insane they might be.
But that's
But you do have you do have some people that are that completely insanely evil that they do that same stuff. I think someone like Hassan Piker, I think he realizes what he does. Some of the things he says is nonsensical. It's
You're
illogical, but
giving
he
a
says it
lot
anyway.
more credit to Hassan Piker.
I still think he's an
I
idiot. I still think he's an idiot. He's
think
very
the
much
man
an idiot.
has to have at least one earbud in at any given point to tell him, breathe in, breathe out.
He's still very
Breathe
much an
in.
idiot.
Well,
Breathe
I would.
out.
I mean, okay, you're pretty much what I'm trying to get at. And there's also the people that kind of believe this stuff, but they don't have ill intent. Like they actually think they're doing something good. So,
Yep.
um,
Well, like Jon Stewart, like Bill Maher, but
yeah,
I think, like any other bad idea, there's a minority of people that are actually malicious. I think the
And-
vast majority of people are
stupid.
just ignorant. They are ignorant or stupid in some blend of the two, either completely ignorant and not stupid, or completely stupid and ignorant.
yeah.
Well, like I was saying with Lance, he is not intelligent enough to consider what he is told and to question it. He is so simple. He is the child who doesn't know how to ask a question. That's how dumb they are. Because
Yeah.
you got to
See,
remember,
I have-
like the man said, think of everybody think of every stupid person you know, and know that half the planet is dumber than that. There are a lot of dumb people, a lot of useful idiots. As soon as they get the ability to draw some eyeballs, they get swept up, they've picked their team, and they get fed what to say. That's why when you look at this person to this person to this person to this person, they basically have the exact same talking points. Now, not each one of them is as dumb as Lance, but some are a couple steps up, like a Hassan, a couple steps up like that, like an Anna Kasparian, a couple steps up like from that, like a Jon Stewart. So like obviously it's a progression of stupid, but at the very bottom you have people with very large audiences, with people who are even dumber than them. Lance's audience is dumber than him,
Yep.
who buy this shit hook, line, and sinker, no questions asked. They
There-
are the frogs boiling in the
There
pot.
you go. No, you said
There
it
is
best.
one
They're
thing.
buying it, and I think that's where you can see the difference in power or difference in influence, I guess you could say, in terms of um, malfeasance versus just willful ignorance, and that's power. That's
Yeah.
who is doing this and doing it knowing that it's a bad idea, or it's not something that's beneficial to people as a whole,
Yeah.
but they're still pushing it because they're going to get something out of it. So even if it's the Jon Stewart, he's peddling the bullshit, he's getting some out of it. So he's still part of that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
ill
yeah.
intent, like that's
Lance is the guy who's also known as the Serfs. He's a communist propagandist, but I would also say that I don't think that he's entirely ignorant when it comes to this, and I would say that because when he knows what's going on, he desperately tries to reframe everything in a different context. So
yeah, but
that-
it's usually talking points that he's garnered from other places. Like
Mhm.
someone like Cenk Uygur, I think is more evil than he is stupid. I still think he's very stupid,
oh yeah,
Mhm.
but
but I think he's
still
more evil
pushing
because
that.
he knows he knows what's most of the stuff that he's talking about is absolute horseshit, and it's just propaganda. It's just to garner hate so that he can get more money because people are paying him to do this. I think that that's a sign of evil. If you're willing to give up your base convictions or do things that you know are wrong, that makes you evil for money.
I think
Yeah.
to be able to reframe shit, that does require an element of perhaps not intelligence, but cunning. And it
Yeah, but he
requires
doesn't
an
come up with
element-
it. He doesn't come up with it, Sanguine. He literally gets it handed to him from high upon,
you
like
no,
from
you're right.
another, from
But
somebody
it's
who's a step up from him.
it may not,
Because
and it may not even be he's like being told it or given like scripts or anything, but he can also just be looking at other people who are doing the same type of actions
yeah, of course,
and just mimicking them. And that's why I get so frustrated when I see people are like, oh well, we're figuring out these people are saying this, but they actually mean this. They're lying to you. And it's like, dude, they've been doing it for fucking so long, and you're now just catching up on it. Like, what in the fuck's wrong with you? Like, has it not slapped you in the face that they'll sit there and tell you one thing and they completely are oblivious to the hypocrisy and just the nonsense that they're spewing?
yeah.
But you're gonna sit there and be like, oh, well, no, you gave them the benefit of the doubt before, and you were trying to be reasonable with them, and okay, maybe they'll turn around. They're not. They're not, because again, either they're really retarded or they're fucking evil. Like that's the whole point. They're a cult. They're a cult, and those are the
Yeah.
minions of it. Like that's I
Yeah.
hate to say it, but that's what we're dealing with. And the sooner you understand it, the easier you can start adapting better strategies to counter them. Which is what I'm seeing is just being blunt with them. Tell them to either
Mhm.
shut
Or
up
speech.
or just mock them in their face because they cannot handle it. They cannot handle it. They're not equipped to it.
Well, again, look at what happened with Lance on Tim. Like, Tim broke him. You can see in real time.
Yeah, when he was
his
like,
brain not functioning.
Well, they have the
when he
right
gets
to choose
proven
what they do
wrong.
with their body. So if they choose to do meth, then you wouldn't have I'd have a problem with that.
Oh,
well,
yeah, because
why?
now you're
Because
trying to
they're
kill the kids.
killing a baby.
Wait, what?
Oh, you didn't hear that part, Adam? So,
No. I watched that. I watched it, and I really hate. Look, I'm. You know me. I've said it multiple times that I'm not the biggest fan of old Timmy Pool there.
oh yeah,
But
he is not the greatest, but every now and then he ends up being
When he
part of
gets a
something
lance
that's
on, or
cool.
when he gets a what was that fucking AIDS faggot?
He gets something that is
Straggly
gold.
beard. He's on
It's
Sam Cedar show.
not so
Yeah.
much that he produces the gold, it's just he's there when it happens.
well, because I mean he's in that position, right? But
Yeah.
I been he's
Matt Binder.
he's slowly been growing on me in terms of like he's still saying retarded things like, hey, if I told you to get out of the city and if you don't want to get out of there, I have nothing. It's like, dude, a lot of people can't get out of the city, so why are you even saying that shit? That's retarded to say. Just shut up, right? And it's like, or the other shit where, and he really can't help himself but bring it back to himself. Well, actually, when I was doing this, and it's like, dude, all right, just share the story. And he's getting
Everyone
better
loves
at it.
talking about themselves. So.
I know. And you have to have a level of narcissism
You want to
if you're
change
going to be on
culture?
that
Why?
type
By
of.
making shitty like fucking
Yeah,
songs?
it's
Like, no, shut up.
it's one of those things where it's kind of part and parcel with what's going on. Hey, like Trump was saying at the town hall, you know what? Once you get to that point, sometimes they let you grab by the pussy. Hey,
That's
unfortunately or
still
unfortunately.
That's still something that drives me crazy. Oh, that was him sexually assaulting people. How is it him sexually assaulting people when they let him do it? If someone lets me have sex with them, that's them going, yeah, okay, let's have sex.
No. It just reminded me because I was listening to this Wu-Tang versus Beatles mashup, and they have bits of interviews, and there's
Mhm.
these girls that are sitting there like, yeah, we're trying to get into their hotel. Some of the girls actually managed to make it up to the floor that they're at, but we can try it. But it's not like we're gonna go crazy. And it's like, dude, yeah, what do you think these women want to do when they fucking like? It's been back, like
They're gonna
you're.
fuck them. They're gonna try to baby trap them.
But this is the thing. They know this. They're saying it because it's opposite of who they're attacking somebody. So they're saying, "Oh, I'm appalled that you would even suggest that." But then they would turn around and say, "Yeah, if somebody's slinging dick on our end, that's okay." Like it's hypocrisy. It's a child game. And I'm sorry. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I've been seeing this since like early 2000s. Like this is ridiculous, dude. I'm so tired of this shit. That's why I'm like, all right, dude. Are we gonna invade Taiwan? Is there gonna be a nuke going off? What the fuck's going
Now
on?
I will
Where's the alien
give it to him
invasion?
that he is changing culture by having people like Matt Binder and Lance on.
Yeah, no,
It
yeah.
really is, because it does show he might not change their mind, but he might change one or two minds of theirs, like a fan of his, to go, oh, Lance is an idiot. Maybe I should
Yes.
stop listening to him. And that helps, because even though Eggless Anna from the Damage Report,
She's
Sam
slowly changing.
Cedar, Matt Binder, all these fucking retard AIDS commies, every one of them are trying to play defense for it, and it's like, you are so disingenuous. You have, for every statement that they put out, they have 1,000 people going, "You're fucking lying," and here's the full context of the clip. You're fucking lying. You're fucking lying.
The thing is that, as Adam was about to say, even Anna is starting to change a little bit. I'm not saying that she's going to become right-wing by any stretch of the imagination. But she's realizing, oh my fucking god, I've advocated for absolute insanity on certain points.
Was it the women thing where she's sitting there saying like, no, I'm a woman and there's a difference?
I'm a woman. I'm not a pregnant, or I'm not a person that can get pregnant. I'm a woman. I'm not a
person or
birthing
something like
person.
that. Yeah.
I'm a woman. I'm not this or that. I'm a woman. Just call me a fucking woman. I'm perfectly fine with trans people. I don't give a shit if trans people want to be called he, she, whatever the fuck. Just don't make it so that because you're trying to include them, you exclude me, you ignorant fuck. And that's what she's currently on about. And she also started to realize that she was barking up the wrong tree.
Dude,
when it came to crime, once she was victimized, once she was the one who's a victim. And this is the part that really pisses me off about certain people, because there's a lot of people that they will advocate for horrendous shit, and then the first time that it hits them, they go, oh my god, isn't this ridiculous that this shit's happening to me? And I'm going, you were the one advocating for this to happen to everyone else.
Shit, dumbass.
Why should I feel like, oh my god, we need to protect you, when you were the one who was doing this? I think that it's terrible that she got assaulted. But at the same time, I think it's fair to say, thank God you're starting to realize what the fuck's going on, because this is the shit that you've been advocating towards happening to countless other people. You do realize this, right? You realize that you were advocating for other people to suffer the same shit that has just happened to you. And if
Anna is not
fantastic, welcome aboard, but realize that what you were advocating for is what caused this.
Anna is not stupid by any metric. I think she is just evil. She's more evil than Cenk, because you can see her breaking narrative, and I think it's because she sees the writing on the wall that the Young Turks is probably not going to be around for a whole lot much longer. At least, they're shadow of their former selves monetarily. So she wants a nice, cushy... She wants a job somewhere else. I wouldn't be surprised if she becomes the controlled opposition on, like, the Daily Wire or something, you know?
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I would say it's evil in terms of, like, you know, she knows she's spouting bad things, but she's, you know...
doing it
but
anyway.
at the same end, it's like, yo, a lot of these people, they are in survival mode.
And see, I'm slightly different than both of you in that then. Because of the two, I think that it is far more likely that Anna was the true believer. That Anna, she was inculcated in this shit. And it's now only when it's starting to affect her that she's starting to realize, you know what? It's bullshit that I'm having to pay more in taxes because she's paying taxes. It's bullshit that I got assaulted because, yeah, it is bullshit that she got assaulted, but it's bullshit when anyone gets assaulted, especially when anyone gets assaulted and there isn't a obvious, overt, and consistent this crime was committed. We're going to find who's responsible and we're going to fuck them up against the wall. Because that should be the approach. And I'm sick and tired of the people that they don't understand marginal utility. So they see that, well, yeah, crime fell when we started to increase incarceration. But then we kept on increasing incarceration past the point where the crime rate was falling. And when we kept on increasing it after everything happened, then it didn't really have an effect. So increased incarceration doesn't cure anything. That's kind of like looking at the NBA, where the average height is well north of 6 foot, and going, well, if we look at the play between a 6'6" person and a 6'8" person, we can't really tell the difference between those two. So height doesn't have an effect when it comes to the ability to play in the NBA. No, you ignorant fuck. It's that at a certain point, height ends up trailing off. And every increase in height yields a smaller increase in ability to play. But below a certain point, there's a reason why the NBA isn't full of 3'6" midgets. Doesn't matter how technically perfect a 3'6" midget gets, they will never be able to compete at the same level as the 6'6" person with passable technique.
Well, to be honest, you'd also be hard pressed to find enough 3 foot whatever midgets to fill some basketball teams. So
the thing is that if you're talking about people that are short, people that are below that, like 5 foot height, or 5 foot, I think it's 4 height, they're in about the same prevalence as someone who is 6'5" and up. So you would have about the same difficulty.
I don't know, man. You started talking about height and basketball, and my mind went to, yeah, my 5'4" ass ain't never gonna be fucking playing in the NBA. But the other thing is, I started thinking about, because for some reason there's a lot of these videos of these guys that are stretching their bones or something like that.
Oh, yeah, you break the bone, you expand the gap.
That's
then...
fucking horrific. What the fuck is wrong with people, dude?
Well, it's people that want to be taller, and the only way that you can become taller is by lengthening the bone. And the only way that you can lengthen the bone is you have to cause the bone to grow longer. The way that you do that, you break it, you separate it by just enough that it grows back together. And you're doing a fraction of an inch every time that you break the bone. But that fraction of an inch builds up in time.
Oh my god, dude. You know what? Okay.
Oh yeah, it's painful, but it's a technique that works.
Look. This might be a little too revealing, but after a seizure that I've had a few times in the past, my legs were shot.
Yep.
And I can only imagine, and it's that, and then I have dreams where, and I have full functional dreams. I'm a dream master. I'm Little Nemo. But there are instances where it feels like you're trudging through water.
Treading water.
Yeah, where it's like up to your upper thighs, and you're just walking, and
Oh, trotting through water then.
yeah, and
Treading water would be swimming
is
in
swimming in.
a height so that you stay above water, but you aren't
Yeah,
actually moving any distance.
maintain a certain surface level, right?
Trudging or trotting through would be actually pumping your way through the water.
Yeah, but that feeling, that that pushback, not in the full body, but just in your legs. Like, I can only imagine the pain and the feeling that these people are going through, all to feel tall. Like, what, are you fucking
Yep.
serious? Oh
Yeah.
my god! Oh my god!
But yeah, like I said,
Ugh.
you could end up fielding an entire team of midgets. Because midgets are about as common as
Oh my god!
the ridiculously tall people that are in the NBA. But you don't see that because height does have an advantage. It's kind of like, yeah, you can get an entire line where football line where everyone is within normal weight boundaries. But those people will never be as proficient of linemen as the 300-pound gorillas that we currently have as linemen.
Yeah,
But
for
when you
specific
then
roles.
look at linemen and you go, well, a 310-pound lineman isn't necessarily stronger than a 300-pound lineman, so weight doesn't have an advantage. No, you're looking past the marginal utility. Because everything in this world has marginal utility. There's a point to which having more food is better. If you aren't eating enough food and you get more food, that's better for you. If you're eating enough food and you get a hell of a lot more food, it's worse for you because there's marginal utility in food. There's marginal utility in water. There's marginal utility in height when it comes to basketball. There's marginal utility in weight when it comes to football linemen, where you're looking for that optimal advantage of you want the weight, but you want the rest of the physicality as well. And someone could have the rest of the physicality but not have the weight, and they won't be as good as a lineman. But someone who has the weight and is just a little bit shy of physicality, they'll still be a damn good lineman. If they have the weight and the physicality, then they'll be an amazing lineman.
You know what's weird?
What?
You don't see a lot of midget horse racers. Jockeys?
No, you see a fair chunk of midget jockeys.
No, it's really small humans, not quite midgets or small people. I don't know what the fuck.
I don't know. There's people that are like 4 foot something in jockeys.
Yeah, but they're just tiny humans.
Yeah,
And I'm
so
saying
you're
that.
saying that we don't have the disproportional midget jockeys.
Yeah.
We only have the.
Well, they don't have the
proportional
condition. What do you call it? Paroplastic something knee syndrome.
There's what is it? A chondroplastic dwarfism. Let me quickly double check whether that's the fucked up dwarf
I
or
don't
whether
know.
that's the proportional dwarf. Because there's it's one of those two.
Hold on, before we take this turn for the worse, is there something more prevalent that we could talk about that's not gonna
No,
get
I've
us
already started looking for it. So
Okay.
it will be something that I'm now going to talk about because there's two major types of dwarfs. There's chondroplastic dwarfism, and then there's non-chondroplastic dwarfism.
So plastic and non-plastic, right?
And
Yeah, most jockeys don't have either of those conditions. They're just small.
Small.
well, no, they have one of those conditions. They don't have the other. Because if you're below 5 foot, then technically you have dwarfism of some sort. Now, dwarfism is grouped into achondroplasia or chondroplastic dwarfism or non-achondroplasia or non-achondroplastic dwarfism. And one of those results in, so it's achondroplasia is the disproportionate dwarfism. Non-achondroplasia is the proportional dwarfism. So you end up with a shit ton of proportional dwarves as jockeys. You don't end up with a lot of disproportional dwarves as jockeys.
Okay.
So the proportionate dwarves, they just look like some old people. They don't have anything really strange about them other than they're like 4'11". And you won't notice that until you see a picture of them standing next to something of a known height. Otherwise, they look perfectly standard. A good example of someone who has proportional shortness is Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, you don't necessarily look at it and you go, no, that's an extremely short man. Then you see someone with Tom Cruise when it's not with Tom Cruise's photograph angles. And you're suddenly going, my God, Tom Cruise is an absolute manlet. Because, let me quickly double check. I want to say he's like 5'2" or something.
No way. Am I taller than Tom Cruise?
Quite possibly. Let me check his height.
That's fucking awesome. That'd be an early birthday present.
Because he is very short when it comes to even Hollywood actors. He's one of the shortest. Like Antonio Banderas is not even 6 or not even 5'9".
You know what I find funny is when people talk about short people and ways they get around it, and they're like, instead of doing the whole bone structure thing, they're like, where he like.
Okay, no, he's actually
stilts, but,
5'7".
like,
He's
heels.
taller than I thought he was.
Oh, he's 5'7"? Oh shit.
Though, actually, he might be 5'7". He claims that he's 5'7", but a lot of the pictures with people of known height have him closer to 5'5".
Platform shoes, yeah. Rotten Corpse said Rodney. Wait, Robert Downey Jr., Rodney Dangerfield. I don't know why that. Robert Downey Jr. had to wear platform shoes during the Marvel movies. Yes, that's what I heard. Also with Tom Cruise as well.
Yeah, Tom Cruise wears a lot of boots with heels and fairly high heels, not high-heeled boots, but just.
Dude,
and
how can
he's got a solid gold brick that he brings, that he has a manservant to bring to each one of his shoots so that he can stand on it for.
But yeah,
he's like Caesar. He gets on his horse by having somebody crouch before him.
a lot of people estimate that he's actually about 5'5".
Okay. If I take a picture next to Tom Cruise, we'll have a definite source, because I know how tall I am, and I'm humble enough to fucking, yeah, dude, I'm 5'4". That's why it makes.
So if he's an inch taller than you, we know.
Yeah, we know for definite.
If you're taller than him, we know he's been bullshitting a fuck ton.
If I'm taller than him, then you probably won't see me. You probably won't see that picture. But yeah, no, the heel things, like, I couldn't imagine walking around in heels the whole time. Like, how do you that's an active lie.
You're taller than Rob Schneider.
Well, that's cool.
Rob
I like
Schneider's
Rob Schneider.
5'3".
He's a funny guy.
Prince was 5'2".
Oh well, yeah, I knew Prince was short.
Danny DeVito is a proper midget at 4'11", or sorry, 4'10". You'd be a giant next to Danny DeVito.
Dude, I want to meet Danny DeVito. He seems like a cool guy. If I were to meet him, the one thing I would tell him or ask with all I was gonna
Would
say
you offer
brevity, but
him
I don't
some
think
of his own limoncello?
no, I would ask him to tell me to go take a defunct taxi cab and tell
Nice.
me to lambast me like I just fucking fucked up my taxi run, because that's what
Mhm.
I watched a lot of Taxi when I was growing up, so
Mm-hmm.
that's where I got Danny DeVito.
But yeah,
I'm sure he was great in Philadelphia or whatever, right?
I can't remember if he was in Philadelphia. All I
Yeah,
remember is
Sunny in Philadelphia or something like that.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I was
Yeah.
trying to figure out what fucking role he was in Philadelphia.
I was trying to think of the city. I was like, it's Sunny in what city?
Yeah, it's always Sunny in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia, yeah.
Meanwhile, I was trying to picture him in an AIDS movie.
Oh
Yeah.
shit! Wait, that's what Philadelphia is. I didn't know. I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
Philadelphia is about
Tom
what
Hanks
was it?
getting AIDS.
Lawyer that got AIDS.
Wait, Danny DeVito was in it?
No, he wasn't in it, which is why I
Listen,
was
Tom,
going,
you got AIDS.
the fuck? Because yeah, it was
Oh
Tom
shit!
Hanks, and wasn't Morgan Freeman in it?
Was he
Hmm.
God?
Let me quickly double check.
I don't know. I don't.
Now
Okay,
I'm
look,
becoming Johnny Hellcat for a moment.
I'm not big on movies. It's not that I don't. I don't. If somebody was like, "Hey, dude, you want to watch this movie with me?" I was, "Yeah, I'll check it
It
out."
was Denzel Washington was the
Oh, God.
other lead. So it was Tom Hanks, Denzel Washington, Jason Robards, Mary Steenburgen, and Antonio Banderas were the stars of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was about, I want to say, a lawyer or accountant that
I think he was
got
in there,
AIDS
yeah.
and was being sacked for having AIDS. Yeah, it was a lawyer. I just double checked.
Movies. I'm telling you. And I can tell you, random music bits from different NES games, but movies like this, nah, that's out of my. That's not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I like it. And see, that's
But
the
yeah,
thing.
that's why I was trying to figure out, was he in fucking Philadelphia? What the fuck? I can't
Yeah.
imagine Danny DeVito in Philadelphia. That would have been a weird fucking cameo.
Well,
Just-
that's a wide range of acting abilities, going from Philadelphia to Twins.
That would have been hilarious, actually. That
Yeah.
would have been absolute fucking gold.
Boo 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 boo. Yeah, no, that's... movies.
But yeah, it was just that moment of, what the fuck are we talking about? How the hell are we saying that he was in that movie? That's fucking weird.
How did we get here?
Yep.
Man.
The same thing we do every night, Pinky.
Try to take over the world. Man, I miss classic cartoons.
Classic cartoons.
Cartoons
Oh,
with
yeah.
a little bit of balls.
Cartoons that had that perfect balance of, we do jokes for the kids and we do jokes for the parents, because we acknowledge the fact that parents are going to have to watch this shit, so we want to make it funny for them. There's a reason why you can go back to old school Bugs Bunny cartoons and enjoy them as an adult. And you can't do that with a lot of kids shows now. No adult is ever going to go, you know what I really want to go watch again? I really want to go back and watch the Teletubbies and actually go and do it. Because, no, it isn't for adults. It's never for adults. Whereas old school cartoons, Wacky Races, well, Bugs Bunny, all those classics were, there's adult jokes and there's children jokes.
Yeah.
A child might laugh at Find Prince, found him, and there's Prince. No, fingerprints. And they don't get the, I don't think he'll like that.
Yeah.
The adults will laugh their ass off at that. Whereas a kid will go, oh, they mean that, like, they don't think that it'll like if they just keep on poking him with their finger? No, different thing.
In a manner of speaking.
It's
Yeah,
a
no, the
very
kids.
different thing.
Yeah.
But that's a joke that it worked. It worked for kids and it worked for adults. It was fantastic. Do more shit like that.
I mean, yeah.
So much of it is just so dumb. Either it's too dumb and it's meant to pander to children, or it's too advanced for children.
Yep.
There's no healthy combinations anymore.
Well, without trudging too far in, or trudging too far into the depth of being pretentious art snobs, right? Animation, cartoon animation is, I mean, we still got to look at it as a medium as a whole. It's
Yeah.
just as a play performance or a
They're
meme
really
performance.
good plays. They're really shit plays.
Yeah, and there are plays that are for children. There are plays for adults. Animation is as a tool could be utilized for a wide variety of entertainment or educational or even just a medium as a whole. And I think that's where people kind of just clump everything together and they hear cartoon or animation and they just, it's all one thing, but it's not. It's not.
Yeah, there are animations that are meant for adults. There are animations that are meant for kids. The best kids animations, though, I will die on this fucking hill, are the animations that build in something for the adults that have to watch them too. So,
Well, see, that's where you're walking into area of I would say mainstream entertainment type, like you're trying to get a broader audience, so you would incorporate those types of things. I mean, you can even say that with here's my tinfoil hat. I'm putting some Illuminati images in stuff where you wouldn't suspect it, but it's there, but it shouldn't be. Like it's but you could also have just a very basic story structure with simplistic images that's all it is.
oh yeah, I'm not
back,
saying that you always have to have adult jokes.
No,
I'm saying
you
that
can
you
though.
should have something that if you're trying to make a animation for kids, you should have something that appeals to the adults that will be watching it as well. Because it should be that when a kid is watching this cartoon, an adult is watching this cartoon as well.
And honestly,
the way that you do that is you can have that with a very good story, even if it's a simply done story. A lot of the Winnie the Pooh stories are very simply done, but they're enjoyable. They're enjoyable as a kid. They're enjoyable as an adult. A lot of the old school Warner Brothers and Disney and other things had the jokes for adults, the jokes for kids. And the best of them were able to interweave the jokes for adults and the jokes for kids. So kids would laugh at something that was funny to them at the same time that adults were laughing at something that was funny to them. And the adults knew what the kids were laughing at, which might not have been enough to get the adult to laugh, but they had something else that they were able to laugh at, which made it amazing because it was this unity between the two. And you don't want adults to be pissed off when they have to watch the show that their child likes.
Well, hold on. Because this is kind of creeping into what I was talking about earlier, the conflating of it. A lot of the early animations that were out were shown before, film. So
Yep.
they were shown at theaters.
Steamboat Willie and the like.
Yeah. So there were, adults and children in the same audience watching it. So they really didn't have the means to either or it. They couldn't just make a pure adult animation like Fritz the Cat, or they couldn't make a pure child animation like Muppet Babies. I'd say
Muppet
had
Babies
to.
weren't even pure child.
It
was
it
more
it
towards
had
the child than
it,
it was
it had its
than the
elements
previous
that
ones.
well,
But
yeah, it had its elements that older audiences considering it's the Muppets, and the Muppet Babies coming from Muppet Caper. I think the second movie was.
the Great Muppet Caper.
Yeah, I think it was where they had a flashback scene or something like that. But it, like it's older people seeing the characters, and they're drawn to it. So again, that's where you can get that good mixture of it. That's where you get good films, good animated films, that stand the test of time, like things like Land Before Time, and I don't want to do another Don Bluth, but American Tail. Children would enjoy it, adults would enjoy it because they both could see, and experience the combination of it. But in terms of like the older stuff, this it was difficult to sparse it, but there was a point where they separated it, where it was goofy slapstick comedy for children. And that's where a lot of adults were like, okay, cartoons are just children's stuff, and it's like, well, no, it's a medium that could be used just for children or just for adults, or if it's really good, something in between. I'll stand by it 100% all the time. Prince of Egypt is one of the best fucking animated films out there.
Oh, that is a very good one. And again, my point is, I'm not arguing that you can't have the specialized cartoons, because adult cartoons should be adult cartoons, not for kids at all. But I stand by if you're making a children's show, you want to have the children's show have something for the children because it's designed for the children, but you also want it to have something for the adults, because if you have both, you have something that children and adults can enjoy together, which is massively important for childhood development. And also, you'll have a better chance of having adults play that thing for their children if they enjoy it as well. Whereas if it is just for children,
it's mindless shit.
It becomes my child keeps on wanting to watch this fucking show, and they'll hate it. And children will pick up on the fact that every time I want to watch TV with my father or mother or my uncle and aunt, they seem to be upset. And you don't want to have the child picking up on that. They seem to be upset. They seem to be annoyed. You want them to have that this is a happy moment with someone that I care about.
Oh my god. Hold on, dude. You perfectly explained it. It's before we had things like we just like you said earlier, like Muppet Babies wasn't just for children. It had
Yep.
adult elements, something that adults would watch. And you're right, it is important if we're going to sit there and say, hey, we're going to have entertainment that people would watch, families would watch, children watch, that you would want the adults to be entertained with. Elsewise, we get what we see nowadays where it's the parent is, here's an iPad, here's YouTube,
Exactly.
just go ahead and watch whatever, because I'm not interested in watching Baby Shark, yada da da up, and
Yeah.
that's all it is. I don't want to see this nonsense shit. um but again, dude, think about back in the day. We had shows where it was entertaining enough for the younger audience, but the older audience also didn't mind sitting and watching. We had things like the dinosaurs. You guys watch the dinosaurs?
Yep.
It was a
Oh,
great
yeah.
show.
We
And
also had things like Fantasia.
yeah,
Fantasia is an amazing example of something that kids love. Fantasia, because look at the fucking animations for that. They are amazing. They're funny. They are beautiful to look at. And then you had this amazing classical music that adults could enjoy, and adults could also enjoy the animations and could enjoy the stories being told by the
and again,
animations.
the dance
So
that the animation's doing with it.
yeah, so you had this perfect synthesis of kids would want to watch Fantasia and adults would want to watch Fantasia. And then you have a hell of a lot of other things. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is, again, one of those kids and adults can
Yeah.
really enjoy Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because it's funny, cartoony, slapstick, but it's well done. It has an interesting plot. It's something that adults can enjoy, and it had those jokes that were adult jokes and kid jokes at the same time,
Dude,
without
that's such a great movie.
having to separate them and have this is the adult part of the show, this is the children's part of the show. No, the entire thing was for everyone, and it was an amazing movie. There's a reason why everyone that I've ever heard talk about it just has good things to say about Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Can I say my
Go for it.
personal favorite scene is the Valiant and Valiant scene,
Mm-hmm.
when you pretty much get a character synopsis of Eddie Valiant, and where he's in that position at that point, where it's, he's in pretty much an out of work private eye, and he's been out of work since his brother died from a tune. Spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The movie came out in like what, 88, something like
Said probate, not prostate.
that. And-
Kid's not gonna get that, but the adults were like, "Oh my god, that's so hilarious."
Yeah,
and
the kid might get, that's not how you spell that. That's funny. The adult will get, oh.
well, no, the scene where he's going over the photos of the old camera that Dolores gave him, and he was looking at the pictures from Cucamonga. I think that was the beach, and he's going over the times with his brother, and he's just thinking about it and thinking about what he lost, and it's just a slow pan scene of him
Mhm.
looking at the pictures and then going over the dusted off desk of his brother, and it's just, dude, it's painting the picture of who this character is. The kids that are watching it, they're just seeing, oh, he saved Goofy. Oh, look at him. They were, in Ringling Brothers and whatnot.
Mhm.
But the adults looking at it like, holy shit, dude, his brother died. They were, they were really close, and they did this stuff, and a tune fucking dropped a piano on him. And
Mhm.
yeah, no, it can be both the same and give you still a good fucking movie, but you grow with it because as a kid, you enjoy the slapstick humor, all the goofiness of it, and then as you grow older, you start looking at it like, holy shit, this is a good movie. This is a fucking I love Who Framed
Yeah.
I'm biased on that. I love
And
that movie, dude.
one of the best parts is that the tension between Roger and everyone else looking at Roger and Jessica Rabbit. The way that plays out is something that makes entire sense to children. She played patty cake with someone else. If the person that I had a crush on played patty cake with someone else at recess, that would piss me off. That's how kids look at it.
Yeah.
And adults are going, oh my fucking god, it sounded like she had an affair. She just played patty
Oh,
cake.
yeah.
What the fuck?
She's
And it
playing patty
becomes
cake.
funny. Yeah. And that's a great note where it's the same thing. It isn't two separate moments. It's played out entirely where the kids immediately understand it and they can kind of find it funny because it is kind of funny. And the adults get that, oh god, oh, okay, it's patty cake. What the fuck was I thinking? And it's funny for them as well.
Although, in all fairness, I think they did release it under their their other studio. I think like Miramax or Mirage or Image or something like that. It was. I think they had the Disney logo, but it wasn't like a Disney film. It wasn't until it actually started making some money that they, went out and, oh yeah, Roger Rabbit, he's awesome, he's our guy, and he was only there for a bit.
The thing is that Roger Rabbit was one of the policies for Roger Rabbit between the two major studios that it worked with was that Disney and Looney Tunes needed equal screen time. So the way that they did that was normally when you had a Disney character walk on, it was either followed immediately by a Warner Brothers character, or they happened at the exact same time, where it wasn't one of them would walk on and then you'd have a scene immediately after. It was both of them would walk on at the same time, and that was how you got that balance. So the dueling pianos, for instance, was a great example of that. And you had the scene of falling through the sky, and it was, I can't remember whether it was first Mickey saw them and then it was Bugs, or it was Bugs and then Mickey fell past them. But it was, the scenes with Bugs were exactly proportional to the scenes with Mickey.
I believe it was Mickey first.
Yeah, I wanted to say it was Mickey first and then
Bugs floats in on like a swing with balloons.
Yep.
So it looks even more goofier.
Yep.
I think the Looney Tunes, they upped the goofy aspect. I think it was the Fletcher, because I think Betty Boop. I know Droopy's not part of. I think was Droopy part of United Artists? I can't remember. But I think Coco was in the end scene, Coco the Clown, and he's a Fletcher studio. So so they had them. And it was the original voice actress for Betty Boop as well. And Talik in chat says most cartoons now are for adults. They make them for themselves. And I would agree. A lot of studios
MGM.
nowadays. MGM, yes.
Droopy was MGM.
Oh shit. Who else was MGM in that? I don't think they had anyone else.
Let's see, what other MGM main cartoons were there? They did have Tom and Jerry, didn't they?
No, unless they were at the very end when all the characters popped up. But in terms of the cartoons now for adults, yeah, I think a lot of them are. There's one that just came out where it has a robot that looks like TikTok and some girl with black hair who looks like the lady from Samurai
Oh,
Jack.
I saw
Have,
the pilot episode as a pre-roll ad on YouTube. I think
it's a
that's
real
the one
thing,
that you're
right?
talking about, where it's the bulbous robot
Yeah.
and going through different time periods. They keep on defeating a demon,
Oh,
but the robot's the one that
is the robot
slaps
gold?
souls back into bodies. Yeah, the robot's kind of a bronzy gold.
Bronzy, yeah. And the girl is like in a black leotard or
Yeah,
black.
the girl starts out a Scottish lord's daughter and then gets her soul swapped, and then it's her actual soul and the newly placed in soul are kind of vying for control.
See, that looks pretty cool. I want to see how that looks, or how that turns out. But that's because when I think adult cartoons, I would also think like the Mike Tyson Mystery Inc. or whatever it was called,
Mm-hmm.
the Mystery Squad or whatever the fuck it was.
Yep.
That's an adult cartoon. It's a cartoon, but it's made for adults, straight out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I mean. Like animation is a medium. It's not. It's a tool.
Yeah.
So that's why it's when I see people, like the Matt Walsh, the other, anime and video games, blah 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 blah.
That was a load of horseshit.
Well, I mean, on a big one end, I would say he's doing it to, because that's how he makes his money. He stirs, shit, gets people talking, and let me
I think that it's
type out
main.
what I have to say to you, and it's like, dude, you're just feeding into it. You're not.
I think it's mainly, and Tom and Jerry did appear in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I just looked it up.
Was that the end?
Sorry. They just reading the full thing. They were supposed to appear. Let me rephrase it. They were supposed to appear. It was during the deleted Acme funeral scene.
Oh, I didn't know about an Acme funeral scene. See, I think Popeye was supposed to be at the end too.
Yeah. So,
Damn, that would have been awesome.
yeah, it would have. But going back to what you just said with the Matt Walsh shit, I think that it's partially Matt Walsh is kind of a fuddy-duddy when it comes down to his life.
Yep.
And it is very much I read, I'll watch old movies, and I'll watch the news sort of lifestyle.
Dude, he's a product of somebody who lucked out. Like, let's just be realistic. If this dude was working an actual 9 to 5 fucking gig, he wouldn't have these same fucking opinions. Because he wouldn't have the luxury of being able to be like, oh yeah, no, I can spend a whole week going out fishing and doing my hiking and blah blah blah.
I think that he would have the same hobbies, he would have the same interests, because I know people that have those hobbies and interests that don't have a privileged background by any stretch of the imagination. A shit ton of people that I worked with at the prison were very much I go fishing, I go hunting, I go to the gun range, and I read. And those were their extracurriculars, as it were. I think that it's just he has that sort of fuddy-duddy mentality where I don't think that it's just for show that he's doing it. But I think that it's the case that he is massively overstating everything well past what he should be. It should be that he looks at it and he goes, okay, yeah, there's these things that I enjoy, but there's other things that other people could enjoy. And it isn't something that is meant just for children, but he's too much in the fuddy-duddy mindset of, well, this isn't for me. I'm an adult. If it's not for me, then it's for children.
Well, that's what I mean. It's either he's playing a character, or he's out of his element. Because I've
And I'd
never
say he's out of
I've,
his element, not so much playing a character.
I've never run across people who do fucking do their work and not sit there and have some, or at least have this like weirdo like Play-Doh notion of like, oh yeah, well, if you like video games and anime, wow, you're not. It's like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, I know guys that'll sit there and fucking work 12-hour shifts and then be like, yeah, I can't wait to go see the new Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like, yeah, those are normal people. The fuck are you, like, who are you? But again, I guess that's anecdotal.
But yeah, it's like I said, I think that it's just a very old mentality that he has that I don't doubt that he legitimately believes that.
Well, the only reason I say he's playing it up for show is because that is where his money's coming from. Like there's so much else to talk about, but he's choosing areas where he can try and stir some shit. And it had worked, like there's a bunch of fucking people sitting out there going out there, oh, you know what, Matt Wells? Oh, let me tell you what I think about it. Dude, what? Don't respond. Like, even us saying this shit, we shouldn't be doing this. But then again, it's not like this is gonna go anywhere.
No, I think that it's perfectly fine to respond. I think that it's important to have a measured response. It shouldn't be a fuck Matt Walsh, she's completely out of his depth. It should be, come on, Matt. This is an entertainment that they enjoy. A good example of this is my father kind of has that fuddy-duddy mentality in large extent. One of the things that drives me slightly crazy is he thinks that fantasy literature is completely pointless. He's perfectly fine with sci-fi because he really enjoys sci-fi.
How do you gauge with that? Because to be honest, like, and to be painfully honest, like, even with my own dad, on something like this, okay, and then I would never have this discussion, nor would I fucking entertain a debate with the person, because I find that viewpoint idiotic and and not worth any sort of fucking, like, this is what I mean, like. But I'm not somebody, and when I talk about like Matt Walsh type stuff, I'm not somebody who has a large following. I'm not somebody who's hosting shows every night, So when I see people like Nerdotic, responding to it, it's like, dude, why? Just let him have his bad opinion and fucking. And he's gonna move on to some other retarded shit that he's gonna try and milk for some money, because that's his grift. That's what he does. That's what all you fucking people do. What the fuck?
Yeah, I have the way that I would address it with the fantasy literature, because that's the example that I brought up. Is I pointed out that the advantage of fantasy literature to nonfiction, in particular. Sci-fi gets a bit of the same aspect as fantasy literature to me. Fantasy literature has the advantage of it can make you think through a scenario while divorcing it from all of the muddy shit that obscures your ability to think rationally about it. Because if something hits too close to home, you'll have a bunch of other things that you're tacking in. So if it's a issue of, well, how do these cultures interact? And you have one preference for how varying cultures should interact, then you'll constantly put that lens on everything. A fantasy work can make you actually think through, okay, no, what are the legitimate ways that these cultures can interact and can work out? So it has that ability to separate the idea just enough that you're able to have a clearer picture and a clearer breakdown of what you're trying to think about. You can get morals across much more clearly in fantasy than you can in non-fiction. And sci-fi, you can get them across fairly clearly, but there is a little bit more muddying because some people will start thinking through, well, how could this be possible? Whereas in fantasy, you don't even have that aspect. It's just, yeah, it's fantasy. So you don't question the, well, how did this happen? It becomes a, okay, this is the scenario. These are the things that are available. How do you solve the problem? So well done fantasy is amazing because it purifies ideas so that you can actually engage with them. And then after you engage with them in that way, you can then add in the additional complications and reach a lesson from fantasy that you can actually carry on into the real world. And sometimes it comes from things that in isolation might sound a bit sappy or strange, but in context, they have a massive story behind them that makes them actually stick with you. So a good example of this is I really love the Stormlight Archive series from Brandon Sanderson. And in the Stormlight Archive series, there's a moment where one of the characters, who has been this ridiculous moral paragon for most of the books up to this point, he's very much I control who I am, I control what I do, and yeah, someone else might try to stab me in the back. But just because they're trying to stab me in the back does not mean that I get to stoop and stab them. And then something happens that starts to kind of break him. He ends up being able to try to combat it a little bit, but it's very slow going. And it hurts because he's having all these horrendous memories of shit that he did that was really fucked up. He burned an entire city at one point. And he ended up killing his wife. A lot of fucked up shit. And he feels guilt that is damn near breaking him. And someone says that he shouldn't be suffering like that. Just give over all of his pain, give over all these damaging memories, and he will feel relieved. He'll feel alive again. And the character, after getting this offer of not having to deal with all this shit, in defiance, declares loudly, "You cannot have my pain." Which, that sounds kind of sappy in isolation, but when you read it in the book, that is a massive moment of fuck yeah. Because as you've been watching this character, you realize that the pain, these heartbreaking moments that he's gone through, did actually build who he was. So to give up those memories, to give up that pain, as much as it sucks to have to live with that, it would also be giving up who he is to a degree that you don't want him to do, and then him not wanting to do that, him not wanting to take the easy way out, became a fuck yeah. And again, that's something that when you're thinking about that in the real world, a lot of people make the choice of the easy absolution. A lot of people take the choice of the easy sucker. This is one of the things that's behind the self-medication epidemic that we have with drugs. Because if you're in pain and you're reaching for anything that can relieve that pain, well, one of the things that can potentially relieve that pain are narcotics. That isn't a good solution. But it becomes a lot muddier in the real world. And it becomes easier to make excuses for why someone's doing this or why someone's doing that. In fantasy, you get that nice, clear breakdown where you're able to go, no, it is better to learn from and move on from the shit that happened in your past than it is to try to erase it. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So that's how I pitched fantasy. And his stance has slightly softened. He still thinks that a lot of it is drivel, but that's a hell of a lot closer to getting the point of fantasy when you can get that, no, there's actual advantages from fantasy, from reading fantasy, because it cleans up your ideas. And I think you could do much the same with Matt Walsh. Yeah, there's absolutely animations that are completely worthless. There's anime that is just that sucker. Just like the what was the horny fucking AI campaign that was running all over YouTube for the longest time? Replica? That was the campaign, right? Replica AI or some shit like that?
I'm not sure. Couldn't tell you.
There was, for an extended period of time last year, towards the end of last year and beginning of this year, there were a bunch of adverts being run for this AI that one of the big selling points was you can have a relationship and sext with this AI.
Wait, is that part of the one where it made like the pizza shop commercial?
No, that is a different one. That one's just amusing. The pizza shop commercial one. I fucking love the pizza shop.
That was awesome.
One. Yeah,
You love Pizza Hug.
that soulless goddamn pizza commercial. It was amazing. But there was a app on your phone that was this AI that you could talk to. And I want to say it was Replica. If I'm smearing Replica, then apologies, but I'm almost positive it was. Where one of the big advertising points for a good long while was you can treat it like it's your girlfriend, like it's your boyfriend. You can sext with it. You can really open up on a deep emotional level. And that, to me, is abhorrent. That's fucked up. It's sucker. It's easy sucker. It is the heroine of emotions. In my
Listen, people, this is the way that they figure out who you are and put you on a file so that they can access it later on down the road.
Well, there's some of that, but like I said, the main bit to me that I found horrendous is the fact that it is that instant, effortless sucker that it's meaningless because of that. You aren't actually developing a connection. You aren't actually developing a long-lasting relationship. You aren't actually doing anything beneficial. And because you're spending your time doing that, you aren't going to have the time to do what you should do. It is that instant relief that you're
no. Hold on. They are. You see, if they want to continuously have access to this type of sensual gratification, they're gonna have to pay some money into it, correct?
No, it was a free thing.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, I mean, there's it's not free in terms of they're sitting in a cave in front of a fire and it's just gonna befront them. They have to pay into in some form to get access to this thing.
Oh, it was
So,
their information was being sold effectively.
well, so these people who
Which
are
is why I
working,
said it was a little bit of the Alex Jones.
well, that's what I mean. but they're self filling it, like they're seeing whatever
They're
they're
opting
getting out
in.
of it. Yeah, and but they're willing to work to get the paycheck to go back and pay into this whatever the fuck they're paying into. Like it's
But it was ultimately damaging because it
of
prevented
course,
them.
yeah.
Yeah, it prevented them from doing what they needed to do in
Well, no,
order to actually
what they needed to do
get
for
the
themselves,
relationship that they wanted.
what they needed to do for themselves, but for the uh the uh the Bilderberg group, the Illuminati people, yeah, for them, no, they love it. Yes, just keep going to work. Keep spending your paycheck on whatever nonsense this is. Just keep it going.
Oh yeah, and like I said, it was that instant sucker. It was that easy thing that didn't yield anything. It was, to my mind, ultimately destructive. That bothered me about it.
Oh shit. Hey,
And Functional had to dip out, and I just realized what time it was because of that. Shall we go
Oh.
for parting words?
Oh shit. Doc dipped out.
Yeah, he started getting dizzy and had a headache, so he had
Oh
to
man.
bail quick.
Doc got lost in time. Gotta go back in time. Okay.
Nice.
I had to squeeze it in there somewhere. But yeah, no, yeah.
Yep.
If you wanna initiate the ending protocol, and it
So
actually works out because I got a toaster that needs to be checked out pretty badly. So.
hopefully not its water resistance. That's a bad idea. That would be the sound that you make after testing the water resistance.
Well, it's still standing as we speak, so we'll see.
But
Sorry.
your parting words first.
Well, shit, dude. I love fucking hanging out with you on Friday, dude. I look forward
Yep,
to it every
always
week.
fun.
And I hope chat you guys had a fun time. Doc, I hope you had a fun time, even though you had to dip. We'll find you though. We'll build it as DeLorean. But for the rest of it, yeah, make sure you like and subscribe. I gotta toss those out there. And yeah, love you all. Good night.
And I'll leave off with my standard of if you're passionate about something, make sure that you devour it. Don't let it devour you. And with that, have a good night, all. The zoo is closed.
Good night.
Goodbye. And now I click this.